All right, cool. Well, thank you, Africa, for having me here and for being an awesome auditing partner. Um, so everyone, I'm Dorlin Catron. I am blind. I lost my sight about 10 years ago and have been using assistive technology since. I only recently actually entered the accessibility world in a professional sense. I was hired about 3 months ago now, but I did start looking in or learning about accessibility back at the end of 2020. I was able to take a course through the New York Public Library on web development specifically for those who use screen readers. So I was able to learn semantic HTML, a little CSS, and JavaScript from someone who um, knew about assistive technology. And we just talked, accessibility from the very beginning in the get go and how the web really can be, used by everyone with these mechanisms. So I started learning about that at the end of 2020 and got into some more coursework, found things here and there, and I've kind of piecemealed my way to where I'm at now. We can go into that however you'd like, Africa. But just generally, so people know my background, I was fully sighted for the first 28 years of my life and worked actually in bars and restaurants, and then lost my sight due to type 1 diabetes. And, I like to share that so everyone kind of understands, the progression and that I truly didn't know about accessibility before then. I didn't realize, folks who were blind could use the web, which so many people out there are under that, that misimpression. And so learned the assistive technology while learning that it was even out there. And then got lucky and found this position. I feel like no, it was a good progression of working towards this, but this is my first job in the field. So let's see what I'm sorry, I forgot. I feel like I've missed things, but that's to start us off. Yay. Oh, cool. I did. Hi, Todd. It's so nice to meet you.
All right, you should be able to hear me now. Let me know. And Todd says, "Hi, nice to meet you as well." All right, I had my mic muted. Sorry. But what I was asking was you talked about earlier going to the library and learning about web accessibility. Is that what you said? You went to the library and you literally just like sat down at the computer and tell us more about that. What even began that route?
Well, actually, it was during COVID, so I didn't go to the library. It was through Zoom. It was something that the New York Public Library did. I'm actually down at the time I was in DC. I'm now in Maryland. Um, but honestly, COVID was really amazing for the blind community, because this virtual world opened up so much more for us, and took out the issue of transportation or having specialized things like this in one area you wouldn't have. But a whole bunch of us from around the country were able to take part in this um, class. It was, gosh, I want to say it was 8 or 12 weeks, I think 8. And, we went through there were maybe 12 of us and went through and learned, week by week the different, bits of HTML. We spent probably the first half on HTML, then did a little bit on CSS and a little bit on JavaScript, just enough to, you know, get you to understand the basic concepts and be able to do some coding yourself. I was able to code a website doing that. But that's something that had popped up just because I'd been following someone who's a heavy hitter in the accessibility field, Chancey Fleet. She's up at New York Public Library running, I believe, their assistive technology programs. And the course was through her, and it was just amazing, just an amazing experience. I originally wanted to take it because I was so tired of running into inaccessible websites and not having the terminology to convey what was wrong with the websites to those people who were, now I know the developers and whatever, but I was just like, I just want to be able to tell them what's wrong. And so if I can learn what's going on, I can relay that. So, through this course, I essentially was able to learn, hey, that's an unlabeled button. That's the problem. Those kinds of things. And that's what I wanted. But it was a springboard into web development and then into accessibility.
Wow, that's really cool. First, I'm writing, so if you hear me like click clacking, it's because I have a really loud mechanical keyboard. Sorry. And also, I'm writing some notes because I want to be able to kind of get this to people at the end, a couple weeks from now. But what was the name of the course, if you remember it, and the name of the person who was doing the course?
Well, let's see. So it was called, I believe, Web Development for Screen Reader Users. And it was a small thing I had to apply to be part of um, that group. And it was run actually by two women, Chancey Fleet, who's up at the New York Public Library, just doing awesome things all the time. And then also someone who was at the time pursuing their PhD, and this was their project for it. This just developing this course, and her name was or is Claire Carney Volpe. I believe she actually works for Verizon now in accessibility, and you can hear her talk about it in certain places as well.
That is so
So
cool. Okay,
it was
so
awesome.
this was about you said it was 8 to 12 week program where you learned the basics of HTML. Did you learn any CSS?
Yeah.
You learned
Yep.
CSS
Learned.
and you learned a little bit of JavaScript, right?
Yep. In
And
learning CSS, we did a little bit of like color theory. Um, that was really cool. They gave us some tactile graphics and then JavaScript enough to be able to code like a Mad Lib type thing. So that was fun.
tell us more about these tactile graphics.
Oh my gosh. Well, tactile graphics are very interesting. It really is a skill to be able to interpret them. As I learned when I first got them, they sent us, for instance, the color wheel, where they print it off on an embosser, something that you would normally print braille pages on, but can also be used to print, well, graphics. And they put the dots a little closer together, and you basically got this raised picture. And if you have some information about that picture and some braille labels in it, you can interpret it. And you were able to see, for instance, on the color wheel, your complementary colors and stuff like that, and how things overlapped.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I love tactile graphics. I think you've actually seen the map I have of the area around our building. That's a tactile map.
Oh,
And
yes.
so it's the same thing where they're using those kind of dots that you'd usually use for Braille and using them to create streets and buildings and just this raised or tactile map of an area. So tactile graphics are really cool when used properly and when someone knows how to interpret them, which I'm learning.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you coded your own website, and I think that's the website with you and your service dog Tank, right?
It is. It
So
is.
Dorland has the cutest dog. His name is Tank. He's a black, is he a lab?
He is.
He's a black lab. He gets really excited when he sees people, but he's the best guide dog ever. So Dorland actually made a page with her and Tank, and I'm gonna show you all her page. Actually, we'll wait to show you the page at around the halfway point. And Todd said, "Dogs are great. They are. Her dog is so cute." We have
Yeah,
actually two dogs in our office, Tofu and Tank. So it's really cute.
it is. It's amazing. Guide dogs are the best.
So we're also going to show y'all the website that Dorlin started learning web accessibility to articulate why she hated the website. using assistive technology. Can you actually tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a website called, and I think they've actually gotten better. I haven't actually been back in a really long time, so when we go back today, hopefully it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's called imperfectfoods.com, and it's a website that takes, like, ugly produce and mismatched things and sells them for slightly cheaper, and you can get them delivered, which during COVID, I was like, "I need a delivery option that I can get regularly," and it seemed like a great option. So I signed up for it, and you have to put your order in, by maybe it's Friday at 11 p.m. or whatever it is, or 11:59 p.m., that kind of thing. And I'm a bit of a procrastinator. So I'd always wait till towards the end, and I'd be trying to put items in my cart or change the items they'd already pre-populated in there, and I just, like, end up in tears. There were so many times where I just ended up getting an order I didn't want at all. I wasn't able to figure out how to, like, cancel orders. It was so convoluted trying to get to that point where I was just like, "I wanna skip this week." There were other times where trying to add things to the cart, I'm pretty sure would every time you added something, it would skip you back up to the very top of the page. So if you were like 20 items down and you had to go back down to that and continue on, it would take me hours to do what I assumed a sighted person would be able to do in 20 or 30 minutes.
Right.
And I just was like, "Ugh," buttons weren't labeled, stuff like that, and I just wanted to be able to. I think I did send them an email being like, "I can't use your site because of whatever it was." I'm sure I didn't use the correct terminology at all, and, got some response back from them, but not a lot of action, and I think that's because I didn't truly know how to tell them exactly what was going on, and they weren't well versed in accessibility, obviously.
Right. RoboDom says, hello, hello. What's up, RoboDom? And Todd Libby, our resident accessibility auditor and engineer, said he just looked and it looks pretty good after a quick audit scan. So I'm pretty excited to see how much better it's gotten, especially when we're talking about a user who's actually going to use it without looking, which I feel like is way different. But I'm really excited because some of these we also talked about CodePen. So Dorlin, I want you to talk about when you try to learn how to code through was a free code camp and you had to use CodePen. That's kind of where you had to stop because of the accessibility issues. But before we talk about that, because we're talking to web developers right now and designers maybe, or people who want to be accessibility specialists, let's get in the weeds a little bit about why it was so hard to navigate this website. Like, get real specific. You're using a screen reader. I'm assuming that you're using JAWS, which is like the most popular screen reader out there, the most robust for people who are actually blind and using something daily. They're probably going to use JAWS. So you're navigating with the keyboard. We're not using a mouse. So that tells us first that everything needs to be navigable by the keyboard. You need to be able to tab through things and get to where you need to go quickly. So what was it that was really the most annoying thing about this website?
It was truly that every time I hit to add an item to the cart, that I got reset to the very top of the page.
Oh my gosh.
It was just like, because you'd have a page with maybe 50 to 100 items on it, because
Right.
they'd put an entire category would be on one page, basically. Maybe you had to move to a second page, but whatever it was just like, after that happens 2 or 3 times, it's exhausting. And
Hmm.
like I said, I would wait till the last minute to try and do these things, and I'd get a little flustered and be like, well, looks like I'm not doing this order this week.
Right.
I also had a really hard time using their menu to navigate to find where to actually change my settings and to change a delivery or cancel a delivery. I
Hmm.
just remember it would take me so long to do that process because it wasn't very intuitive, and but I can't remember exactly on the navigation of those menus what was the problem. And honestly, at the time, I didn't know enough to know what was wrong. I just knew that it was wrong.
Exactly. And Todd said, oh boy, that's a huge issue being sent back to the top of the page. RoboDom said, returning to the page sounds so impractical, returning to the top of the page. So when we talk about this is, I like talking about the specifics because one of the things we talk about a lot, and I think me and Todd talked about it one time, is infinite scroll. So this isn't really like an example of infinite scroll, meaning that like it scrolls forever because there's so much ish on the page. But like if you have that many things on the page, you got to think about like if your thing is setting you to the top every single time, you know what I mean? Like that's like going to reduce you to tears. You're going to, yeah, you're going to give up. But it does seem to be like a thing that happens that is triggered. Like, I don't know exactly in coding terms what's happening there when it's like literally sending you back to the top, but it sounds super frustrating.
It is. There's something that's going on recently. I'm not quite sure what it is. It seems to happen on news articles that have Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. The tweets are up there, and because they're pulling, I don't know, it's a iframe or however they're doing that exactly, but when it updates with different likes or whatever, it'll send you to the top of the page, and you're reading this news article and having your screen reader do the say all command, several pages down this news article, and all of a sudden you're, wait, I'm back at the top again? Why? And then you have to go find your place, and that's happening a lot these days. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of being returned to the top when you don't want to be up there.
Yep. So RoboDom said infinite scrolling. Then he put a little emoji with like hands to the head as if tired and frustrated. And then Todd Libby said infinite scroll is an auditor's worst nightmare when it comes to have a page with a lot of information or pictures. LOL. Yes. I will always bring this up, but when we roasted Beyonce's website and that thing had 1,000 defects and like a million jillion pages and infinite scroll, shook. That was crazy. But she fixed it. So I feel like we're gonna go back to, and she got sued like a couple times. Her and Target, they be getting sued all the time. But anyways, we're gonna see if this other page has done a better job. And I like that we talked about that because I think it feels like, at least if you're in this field, the last couple years people have really gotten on their job about accessibility and updating things. So that's really cool. All right,
Hmm.
so now that we've talked about that, and we're gonna come back to this, we're gonna circle back. Oh, and Tiny Cupcake said, "Hey, what's up, Tiny Cupcake?" Todd said, "The only reason that I can think of off the top of my head that you should be sent to the top of the page is on form error validation to see what the error info is." And it doesn't seem like that's what this was doing. It just seemed like a
No.
stupid quirk,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just reloading the page, which is going to send your screen reader back to the top of it unless you've told it not to.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about a little bit of your frustrations, you building some websites that we're going to take a look at in about 10 minutes. What I want to switch gears a little bit about is talking about how you got into this field and what that process is and how you're liking the job and what you do. But first, tell us a little bit about how you got this job and how you prepared for it. And I'm going to remove my cat from here.
Your co-auditor. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, well, what prepared me for it, I think, was just jumping in and doing as much of anything as I could with it. Certainly becoming a strong screen reader user and really learning JAWS helped a lot. But uh, beyond that web development course, which just it was a huge, baseboard to build off of, and like I said, a springboard really. They gave some further resources, and so I ended up pursuing those. You mentioned before, and I don't know if you want to go back to this later still, but I used
Yes. Talk about
freecodecamp.org
it.
or com. So they had recommended that we use that. And actually, there's a blind developer who I think he's over in the Netherlands, and he had worked with Free Code Camp to get it to be accessible. And so I went through and took their HTML course. And there are little boxes within there. There you have to code in or correct code depending on. I don't even remember, it's been so long now exactly, but that was all accessible, which was really exciting, and I was able to go through and just get more in depth on all the things I'd already learned through that web development course, which had been pretty short, but so geared towards screen readers, it gave me the basis I needed to understand going forward with free code camp really well, I felt. And then I got to the final project, and they send you to another platform over to CodePen to do it. And it was inaccessible to me. I could not use it. I couldn't figure out how to use it. No amount of Googling could help me figure out some other blind person's way of using this. And so basically felt like that must be inaccessible. I couldn't use it. And so I did the final project just by myself to know I could do it via Notepad. And, I gave myself a passing grade, so that worked out. But it would have been cool to be able to complete it through CodePen and actually get that certificate, even though it's not anything big from Free Code Camp. But, just like actually being able to finish a project you're doing is, I don't know, it's rewarding and you should be able to do that.
Right. And we talk about this all the time, but I did want to note to everyone, I think on a couple of our past talks, we talked about the fact that some people use Notepad to code because some of the IDs are not as accessible. And I think the last time you tried to use one was quite a few years ago. So one of the things that we wanted to kind of look at was whether or not like VS Code was accessible, but we're not going to do that today. But I just thought I'd mention it to people as just like a tidbit. People are out here using Notepad to code, and while I knew that that was a thing, I just never thought about it. And I'm like, wow, that's a good workaround. You know what I mean?
Taking it
But
old school.
yeah, old school. Hey, RoboDom said Free Code Camp is an awesome free resource. Love it. Yeah, it really is a great resource. Todd Libby said CodePen has gotten more accessible. That I do know. FCC is a great resource. VS Code is slowly getting more accessible as well. So we know that these things are getting more and more accessible. What I'm thinking we'll probably end up doing for fun for anybody who's interested is we will kind of go through all of these tools and then just test them. And Dorlin, if you want to come on stream and do that with us, that would be really fun. Because if you do it, then we really know that it's accessible, right? Because I feel like as someone who can see and is also using a screen reader, I have like two modes of feedback that often give me false positives in a way, because sometimes my brain will be like, this is fine, because I can see it and I'm not even realizing like the screen reader may have said something wrong or did something stupid. So I think that would be cool. RoboDom said, I didn't know you could use Notepad as a text editor. You sure can, man. You sure can. It comes on your computer already, and I think it when you open it, you'll see like it just, even when you text on it, it looks kind of like command line-y.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you basically prepared well for this. You got that JAWS certification. So for those who don't know, we talked about how JAWS is a screen reader. It's the main one people use. It's extremely expensive. However, they do have a free 40-minute mode if you want to play around with it to use it. If you're interested in getting a job knowing in accessibility as a tester or as an engineer, knowing how to use JAWS is pretty much imperative. But they do have a course that takes around 10 hours, and you can get certified in JAWS, and it'll teach you all the commands. It's one of the things that I am working on eventually because I have a lot on my plate, but it's definitely on my list. And I certainly have been learning so much from Dorlin as far as all these extra commands that you know. So you learned all that stuff. You went through the interview. Fun fact for everyone here. Dorlin stole Brandy's job. Brandy, who's coming on she's coming on the stream tomorrow. She'll be my last person who's coming on. For those who don't know, Brandy is someone who did 100 devs with me. She's like my coding bestie, basically. And she ended up getting a job with me, just like Dorlin, right after Dorlin's got on. So it's just funny. It's like, damn, you stole. They both applied at the same time, essentially. But Dorlin, you won. I mean, you have all the knowledge. You had a lot more experience than her as far as using the tools, and you are doing so great. So I'm like really excited that you're you're here with me and my partner. But now
Aw.
that you're here and we're in this thing together, we've been. When did you start again?
Beginning of May.
Beginning of May. So it's only been a couple months, and this is your first accessibility job, correct?
Correct.
And before this, you were a bartender,
Um,
or that
ish.
was
I
earlier.
was in that, yeah, bartender to general manager, then worked in beer distribution, but certainly not computers or accessibility.
Right, exactly. That's what I really love about this field, tech in general, and especially web accessibility. You get in how you fit in. You can literally go from bartending or, retail or therapy and slide into a job like this. All you have to do is kind of put in that time to learn the material and then apply it. I think one of the things that makes us stronger candidates, especially if you're not doing like just straight web engineering, right? We're doing testing, so we don't code ourselves, but the ability to code and understand code is so important for this job, I think, because it really helps you conceptualize what's going on behind the scenes. So many people on our team, they don't know how to code. They understand like what's going on, but I think it makes it harder to explain to developers and for yourself like what's happening on the page. So I think that's really cool. So what is your favorite part about being a web accessibility auditor?
Mm, being able to give someone feedback about something and have them actually remediate it, it's super exciting that people, when they do that, just like getting a document back that's had like defects cleared. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes
Um,
on the private side of things, like sending an email, like your site doesn't work, you can be just screaming into the void. Hopefully you get response. Hopefully you get more than just a canned response too. But sometimes it's just screaming into the void, and I love the response or getting not the feedback, but having people actually work on your feedback.
Right, right. Because the buck stops with us, to be fair. If we ought, like everything for the government has to be Section 508 compliant, which is that web accessibility law for the United States. So once it comes across our desk and we look at it and we're like, nah, y'all got like 10 defects. What's going on? Like the companies who are contracting or working with or getting paid by the government can't get their project released, right? They can't do what they have to do. So I think you're right. It's really cool to be able to be like, no, this is wrong. And then you get it back and it's still wrong. That happens a lot. So that's a whole thing. But a lot of times they fix it. So it is like a automatic feedback of goodness for the most part when we're not too annoyed by it. But RoboDom said it's so cool that you were able to make this career shift. It really is. It's super inspiring. And Todd Libby said, we need younger accessibility people. A lot of the cranky accessibility people and myself are tired after 25 years. I agree. That's why I always say, Todd, stop, I'll be annoying for you. I'll shout out to the rooftops. I probably got another 10 years in me. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. We just started, so we have a lot of energy for this.
Yeah, and I see the fatigue in the accessibility professionals, who have come before us and the greats and just like I mean, I heard a interview with Chancey Fleet where she was talking about some of her struggles that she's gone through trying to deal with accessibility, that web overlay that will quote unquote make your
Rutro.
site accessible and it won't, but like I hear the fatigue in her and it hurts me. And I know that like you and me, Africa, we need to take the baton because it is exhausting work. And we got energy. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, we're super nerds about it too. I don't know why we like it so much. We really have like a fun time kind of talking about it and doing it. And I could see how over many, many years of just hitting your head against the wall and trying to tell people like how to fix things. Cause a lot of times at work, what happens is we get pretty frustrated because we're seeing the same over and over again. So, talking about what we see over and over again, what are some of the defects that you constantly see as a user? We're not going to talk about what we do because we already know what we see all the time. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit, but I really want to know about like the top 3 offenses as a screen reader user or user of the internet, right? Who uses assistive technology. What do you come across the most?
Um, one of the ones that just really often drives me the craziest is getting a dialog box or a modal pop up on a screen where I'm doing something and I can't close it. There's no X button, there's no close button that's labeled, or maybe there's not even one on the screen, and I just have to leave the website. A lot of times it'll be like, "Hey, sign up for our email list." It's like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
not now. Thank you." But like, yeah, I can't stand dialog boxes and modals that pop up that I can't get out of. It happens a lot more on my iPhone, I will say, than it does on my Windows computer. Something about the way people are coding their websites, I don't know, and the way it interacts with iOS seems to be
Mm-hmm.
harder. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not a developer, but um, those. I mean, I got stuck in one of those today. Um, so that's one of them. I mean, honestly, this is one of those, like, goes back to what everyone is tired of talking about, but alt text not being there. There's so many unlabeled images out there, and, I mean, there's OCR trying to pick it up these days. iPhone tries to do picture recognition type stuff, and that can be good if there's text in the photo, but there's just, like, no one uses alt text. It's crazy
Yeah,
how
actually,
many
we talk
images
about
are.
alt text every single one of these because it is the biggest offense. So I feel like there is a meme or like a joke about how all we do as accessibility people is talk about alt text. And I'm just like, bro, we're doing it for a reason because it's annoying.
Yeah, they say a picture says 1,000 words, but, like, could you just give me 140 of them? Like, that's all I
Yeah.
need. Just give me a
Robodom,
little snippet.
Robodom said those companies really want you to sign up to their email subscriptions. Yeah, they sure do. Todd Levy said empty buttons and labels, I bet too. Is that what you were going to say next?
That
Because
is my
that's my
third,
pet peeve.
actually. Button, button, button. Who's got a button? It's crazy, you go through these websites and you just get, like, I use quick key navigation a lot, where I'm using the B to get to a button or F to go to a form field. But I can't tell you how many times I hit B on a web page and just hear button, button, and just no labels at all.
Right, right. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Todd said devs don't understand that screen reader users need accessible text and rarely include it. Yep. Yep. We need both the alt text, that'd be nice, and we also need our buttons and things to be labeled. But to be fair, like we talk about a lot, no one is teaching us this. I didn't know this at all until I think like this, not this year literally, but like, you know what I mean? Like you have to literally just know that a screen reader needs the label. And we're not taught that at all. So I'm hopeful that
Yeah.
somehow that becomes public knowledge for all of us.
Right. Just like I wish that the semantic HTML components were just used well in every web page. There's just so many of them. If they're used, they're not labeled, or they're not used. Like, a, w- a- I'll add a fourth on is
Please.
heading structures.
Ooh.
Like web pages that have no heading structures,
Mm.
and I have to sift through them. That's awful, But ones where the heading structure is off, that can I don't know that that's worse, but it's bad too. And it's just like I want to be able to quickly get into a web page and check it out real fast. I'm going to use my quick keys and go through things, just like in the same way a sighted person is going to do a visual scan of the web page. I'm going to quickly hit things around before I go up and then figure out how I'm going to navigate that web page. And literally the first one I was taught when I was learning JAWS, and the first one I always go to is my H key for headings. And I'm
Mm.
going to flip through and see what I've got because that's going to truly give me an outline of a page if it's used properly.
Exactly.
And quickly going to know the structure of the page, how I want to interact with the page, and I can go from there. But if there's no headings on that page, I literally have to read from top to bottom to figure out what's going on.
Super annoying.
Mhm.
Headings is definitely in my top three. It might be like my second one. And I think when I think about it, I realize that a lot of developers don't understand how heading structures work or like the purpose of them in the way that they use them. So they'll have like multiple H1s, they'll have like an H2 and then randomly an H3 when that should be under the H2. So I think it's just, lack of understanding how structures are so important and the fact that many people navigate structure like headings as if they are a table of contents, right? So like the table of contents is going to kind of tell you the main point of everything. And if you don't have that at all, you kind of have to read everything and no one reads everything. So us as sighted people, right? Like who can see the page, usually those headings are bolded and we're not reading everything. We're scanning the headings. That's it. Because we're trying to find what we
Mhm.
need, right? Unless you're doing a deep thing where you're reading everything for whichever reason, which is doesn't happen very often. But I do like to pause and like talk about why these things are important because they are important. But it sounds really random if you kind of just say like, "Oh, headings are annoying when they're not there." It's like, no, but headings are they're the main way that people navigate a page, and without those heading structures being correct, it's kind of just like a blob of text. And now you've lost someone off of your website if they don't feel like dealing with that.
Yeah, exactly. It could be just like too much. But if you've got your heading structure, it's like having a nice outline of your content and just being able to quickly move through it. I don't know. I think of back when I was like in middle school learning how to make outlines of textbooks, It's just like, oh, that's heading structure, guys. And I don't know. I want to shout it from the rooftops. Like, you can
Yeah.
do it too, people. You know this. They just don't
Yeah.
realize they understand it.
Right, right. I always think about, when I was learning, I thought I understood how to do heading structures and then realized like months in that I was doing them incorrectly just based off of how I was using like H2s and H3s and H4s and things like that. And then just knowing not to use it for styling, like use your CSS if you want to style versus using an H2 because it looks better. Things like that are, I think, really big offenses for the most part. But Todd Libby said that must be taxing when there is no heading structure and there's a lack of education at a high level or even in high schools. Yeah, very true. Very true. Um, I want to know H1, H2, here's an H6. This is what Todd said. Yeah, that's literally how it goes. And I'm like, why is there an H6 here? We don't even have anything in between that. It's just the styling. All right, cool. But I want to know, Dorlin, what tools or strategies do you find the most helpful for yourself when you're navigating the web as a blind user?
Oh gosh. Well, um, I mean, for tools, it's JAWS for me. I am a JAWS user, although I'm learning NVDA and quite like it. But I pay for JAWS on my personal machine, and so I'm happy to navigate with that. I told you a little bit about how when I hit a page, I'm gonna hit my quick keys to check out what um, semantic elements are in there for structure, be that H for headings or B for buttons, and T for tables, uh, E for edit boxes, that kind of thing. Just kind of jump around real quick and just feel it out.
So like
Um,
mapping the page in your mind,
yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Getting a little mental map of it. I mean, sometimes you just charge right in, like, oh, I want to buy this thing. So I'm going to this website and I'm just going to start clicking, where I want to go. Um, I don't know. For strategies, I do think that being a user of assistive technology requires problem-solving skills
Yep.
and, certainly some persistence, and just kinda going at it to see where I can, see how I can maneuver around a page. Sometimes if I'm trying to get something done, I will have to switch over to a different like oftentimes I'll switch between my Windows computer and my iPhone because they're different experiences and sometimes one's better and sometimes the other's better. So, trying to figure out which browser or which system you're going to use, that's certainly a strategy. But a lot of times it's just kind of like some accessibility Olympics. Like, how can I make this happen?
Right.
And sometimes you just have to you know, call in a sighted friend to do something. Like I got stuck in a known keyboard trap in Microsoft Teams the other day, and I actually texted Brandy so that she could call me on Teams so I could hit accept, and she was able to take control of my screen and get me out of the keyboard trap.
Oh my
It was just like,
gosh.
this is so convoluted, because I couldn't use Teams to ask someone to help me to get out of it because I was in Teams in this trap. And so it was
Right.
just, but we got out of it, like I said, problem solving.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, we're going to take some time to look at some of the things that you've made. So, we're going to look at your website that you created yourself, and then we're going to look at CodePen to see if their accessibility really has updated and changed. And I don't know. And then we're going to look at the website that got you into coding because you wanted to explain why it sucked. So, we're about to have a roast session, but we're not going to roast your website because your website is actually accessible. That's
I
great.
hope so.
So, we are going to take a couple minutes to go over to Zoom, and I'm going to take y'all along with me. You know how this goes. We may bump into some issues, but I think we won't because we tested this before that. So I'm going to change my screen over to my laptop sharing screen. And then what I want you to do is find me in the Zoom room. So this will be interesting because you'll see how we kind of have to navigate ourselves. So let me change to my share screen. Here we go. And now I'm going to start a new meeting. So you should be able to come in here with me. And I think what we're going to also have to do for everyone hanging out with us is I'm going to have to mute myself in this other area for you. But go ahead and jump in here with me.
I am in there.
Oh,
It's
oh, there
waiting
you
for you
are.
to.
I see.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna mute myself so that you don't have a double thing. And then remember, I think no, you wouldn't mute yourself. So I'm gonna admit you, and then I'm gonna turn you off here and mute you. So go ahead and say something just so we can make sure.
Okay, you can still hear me?
Oh, that's
I have
so.
an echo.
Hold on. I think it's because you have to mute yourself somewhere. Maybe it's.
Okay,
Am
how
I
about
muted?
now?
I'm muted.
Can you hear me, Africa? I muted myself on Zoom.
Oh, now I can't even hear you.
How about now?
I can hear you, but now you have the echo again, huh?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's not coming through my headphones anymore. And Robo will answer your question in 2 seconds. Are you guys getting an echo from me at all? Just out of curiosity. Okay. Well, for now, let's just go ahead and get you with your screen sharing for now. So there's no echo for me, so that means that I'm good. I think you just have to mute yourself somewhere, I think.
Can you hear
You
me?
have me playing in 2 places. So one of those places,
Uh, let's see.
because
So
I'm
you
muted,
hear
so
me
you should
though.
be able to hear me. On Teams, I mean on Zoom, But go ahead and share your screen so we can figure it out. And then I'm gonna plug my computer in before it dies.
Can you hear me at all, Africa?
Dorlin, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think you're muted though.
Okay. Yeah, I hear myself when I talk. I'll remute, but you need to allow me to share in Zoom.
Okay. All right, you should be able to do that. And I'm going to figure out why you're getting a reverberation. Maybe it's because I have Ninja Video on too. Do I have to turn Ninja Video off? Let's see. Mac OS. Maybe if I turn this one off? I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't make a difference. Ooh. Oh my god. All right, you have to. Oh. Darn. How did we do this last time? You have to be muted somewhere else. Like I think I'm coming in double somewhere. So where else are you hearing me from? If not only like what's happening? Um. Well, let me mute my mic. Just see what happens. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you getting an echo?
I hear myself, yeah.
Okay, it's something on your end. Are you sure that I'm muted on Zoom?
I'm talking to you on Zoom right now because you have me muted on, or maybe I need to be muted on Video Ninja.
No, I have you muted on Zoom. I'm pretty sure. No, maybe I don't. I can't even see you. Okay.
I'm
Well,
unmuted. Can you hear me, Africa? See if
okay,
you
yeah.
can't hear me at all though, huh?
Now I can't hear you. Hold
Hmm.
on, y'all. I'm gonna try for one more minute. I appreciate your
We can't do it.
patience. Also, let me plug my thing in really fast. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's that. Speaker. I don't know how to show you here. You're muted here too. I'm muted. Mute on Ninja and unmute on Zoom. Okay. Unmute on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Twice. I tried to mute on Video Ninja.
Production assistance. I don't even know what do you mean by that? What do you mean? Is this mute? All right, I have you muted on Ninja now. I'm gonna unmute you here. No, how do I unmute you? All right, I just asked you to unmute yourself on Zoom. I don't know if that's. Let's see, I should do it right here. Ask to unmute. Unmute yourself. All right, now I can hear you two places. I don't know. Oh, it's because I think well, you're not sharing your screen though. All right. Well, not gonna happen today, y'all. I'm gonna just end this because I can't figure it out. So I'm gonna end the Zoom. And for all, and I'm gonna unmute you in here so we can at least hear you. All right, how's it going? Can we hear each other? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's probably because she has me muted on Video Ninja now. Let me message her. All right, so you guys can see what I'm doing. This is where we are. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. All right, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's one of those things where something we have to like unmute. It's just too complicated. Goodness gracious. All right,
Yeah.
we tried. I'm sorry, y'all.
I, I tried turning the speaker and the mic off on my Video Ninja, but it, you're still hearing me twice, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is one of those things that always happens in every stream, and I can never figure it out. So I'm just gonna have to play around with it for next time because I really want us to do it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show y'all Dorland's website first, and then I'm gonna show you the annoying one, and we'll use my screen reader. Maybe we'll see because I'm so used to using Mac now. I mean JAWS that like I'm really rusty with using the Mac screen reader.
Well,
Okay, let me read some of these comments. See what we got here before we go. And yeah, Todd, we're talking about Video Ninja, blah, blah, blah. Mute on Ninja, unmute on Zoom. We tried that. Africa's production assistant makes a lot of random appearances. Yes, my cat is annoying. She will literally jump on the table and then I'll take her off and then she'll jump back on and she'll do that like 10 times. So welcome to my life. Africa, we should do some time, test some time because I need to fix my stream too. Yes, Todd, please, let's do it. We'll just have one where we troubleshoot. I did that like last week and it was really helpful. Okay, moving on. First, let's go to Dorland's website.
well, now
So
that one
Dorland,
I don't have live, so I was going to share that
oh,
via my
darn it.
screen. Can I share via Video Ninja?
That's the thing. I don't know how to do that. I have no clue how to do that. I wonder if I can add to the scene. I don't know. I feel like that's going to mess something up. Capture groups. I don't know. Scene options. Additional controls. No, this looks complicated. Oh, darn. I really want it to work. How did we get it to work last time? Like, oh,
Did I
see your
share it with you?
screen.
Okay.
Wait, I think I have to just make you bigger. All right, y'all. I don't know how I did it, but we did something. You can kind of see your screen. I bet if I can make this, can I make this bigger? Yes, we're gonna make this bigger and we're gonna make me littler. Doing it live. I'm gonna make myself a baby little picture down here and I'll make your picture really, really big. And sorry for the chat being all in the way, but it is what it is. Okay, so keep going. I think you guys can all see that. So start at the top. I think right now you're not at the top.
Okay. So let's see. Am I at the top now?
Yes, it
Should
says
be.
home, about. This is your navigation area.
Okay. So let's see. Can you hear my jaws?
It's really, really low. You might have to, let me see. I think I can probably control and add, maybe make this louder. Your scene louder. You're not muted. I think we're hearing your jaws through your headphones.
Oh, it's not actually sharing my audio.
Mm-mm. But
Okay.
we're just happy that it works at all. Let me see audio settings.
Yeah, so we got the Adventures of Dorlin and Tank, and so I've got my heading structure set up. We actually, when we were building these websites, I was trying to use all the elements. So I've got, an unordered list, an ordered list, our headings. Let's see. Oh, so I don't know how best to share this if you can't hear my jaws, but um, let's see.
I think if you took your headphones out, it might work.
I can do that. Where are my headphones connected?
Let's just see if it works, I guess. If not, I'll tell you to turn them back on. Put them back in.
So I've got alt text on my photos. This one, I guess you guys can't hear it, but it says Dorland sits smiling on a bench. That's something about Tank sitting by her side. Too much for me to remember all at once. Um, but
That's
let's see. So I've got an unordered list, and let me see. I've got a game here somewhere. um, I'm gonna go to our fun and games side, and like for me, learning how to be able to code this Mad Lib basically that I put down here really let me know just like you know how the like JavaScript can be well used, and that it's just people not understanding these basic things that have really, I don't know, led to a lot of the problems I face. Like it can all be done.
Give us some examples, please,
Of
of how well JavaScript can be used. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's just like when I first um, became a screen reader user, um, I had Java like disabled. It was something where I didn't want things the way it's used. I don't fully understand truly, as um, just a baby in the understanding of the development or web development. But like I totally understood the kind of the math, I guess, that's behind JavaScript, and like how it was just like this if this and then that process. And I don't know, it was just like very transforming seeing how you could take this and then have, I mean, I've got an accessible form here essentially, that I was able to take, and then once you um, enter everything into it, it creates this little story that you then have an ARIA Live region. So it actually reads it to you when it's done. And just like how everything came together, it was like, oh my gosh, all of this can be accessible. Um, and if I can
Yeah.
do it, if I can do it, I know other people can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
So,
you're very bright. Let's be real.
well,
This stuff is hard, and you did it like with a screen reader. That blows my mind.
a little bit of a
Um,
nerd too.
can you show us this game, please? I'm very curious.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So your name. Oops. All right, so I should be describing as I'm typing in case there's someone blind watching or listening along. So the first field was first name. I put Africa in there. Second name was superhero. So I put Wonder Woman. Color. What's your favorite color, Africa?
I don't know. Put green. I'm feeling green lately.
All right, she's feeling green. Adjective.
Cute. Is that an adjective?
Yeah. It
Hey, key
describes something.
codes. Key code said, "Greeting everyone. Sorry for my tardiness. You're right on time." We're looking at Dorland's website that she built. She built this using HTML, CSS, and a sprinkle of JavaScript. This is an adventure generator that she created. And she built this whole thing in Notepad.
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
We're reading. Yeah, that's cool.
Notepad
So
and a
let's
screen
see.
reader.
And just some like simple understanding of color theory to pick the colors to make sure that everything could be seen well. And so it's not real fancy, I'm sure, when it comes to how it looks, but I know people can interpret it and read it, and that's what's important. Let's see. Okay,
Absolutely.
adverb that describes, how about quickly? Oh, and here you got a spin box that you can use, or you can type uh, the value you want. So I'm going to use uh, sorry, I don't think I read out loud. So select any time. So this is hours that I'm selecting first. Selecting 08, but you could also type in here. When I come across, spin boxes that don't work also, I'm like, hey, if I can do it, I know you guys can too. All right. So I'm picking 02, then selecting AM or PM. I'm going to select PM. And I'm just tabbing through these.
Oh, it's just satisfying to see like that tab gets you where you need to go, you know?
I know, right? I've got a dollar amount I'm going to select. And I'm selecting 4. And I'm going to hit submit on my well-labeled button here.
Wait, does this like literally generate? Oh my gosh.
Let's see. All
Okay,
right, so my
I'll read it
jaw's
out loud.
thank you. I was like, how am I going to read this out loud? Thank you.
All right, I'll read it out loud. It says Dorland and Tank were getting ready to go meet their friend Africa at a cafe. First, Dorland grabbed her backpack and put her wallet, keys, and Wonder Woman water bottle inside. She attached Tank's harness and leash, then put on her green jacket, and off they went. It was a cute day for an adventure. The team walked quickly to bus stop, arriving at the bus stop a couple minutes early and feeling a little warm from the walk. Dorland took the time to remove her green jacket, put on her backpack, and take a quick sip from the Wonder Woman water bottle. Right on time, the bus pulled up at 20:02. The team hopped off the bus and off they went to meet Africa. After a lovely chat, the friends were ready to leave. They paid the check of $4, left a 20% tip of point 0.8, and gathered their things. Dang, point 0.8? I would have been mad.
I would
Anyways,
have too.
like, damn, at least give me $1. Dorland told Tank to go outside, and he began weaving the team through the tables. With Africa following right behind them, they exited back onto the sidewalk. First of all, tell me how it did this. This is freaking amazing and so cute. I kind of want to cry because it's so adorable. The Adventures, now I understand what your website is. I'm like, The Adventures of Tank, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is so cool. Also, Todd asked, oh, I think my headphones just died. So I'm sorry if this changes. Hopefully you guys can still hear me and you don't hear any echoes, but my headphones don't work anymore. But Todd asked, Dorland, what playback speed do you have JAWS at? I'm interested in what screen reader playback people have their set at. Ooh, I'm gonna tell you what I have mine set at, 120. What about you?
I'm actually not sure what mine's set up. I change mine up and down so frequently. Um, I could check. I want to say I had mine at it was like 112 words. No, that doesn't sound right now. If yours is at 120, mine's faster than yours. Uh,
Mine is in between 100 and 120. With
let's
120 being as high as I can listen to it, which is like as fast as I think most people in the office who have it fast. Well, no, I think most people who have it fast are at 100.
let's see.
All right, here
Um,
goes my other buddy, y'all. Muse here with me, my white cat, Dorlin.
oh,
He's a little cutie. He's a little less annoying because if I push him off, he'll actually stay off.
let's, oh,
Enable additional voice profiles for
oops.
Shift tab. Profile name and combo
Oh,
box.
geez, I don't know what I just did, but I just enabled an extra voice profile, trying to find where I was at. My bad. I don't know, Todd. That's a good question, though. I want to
Todd, I'll let you
say,
know when I go into the office and I'm gonna look at yours. It's all
oh
good. We
my,
didn't derail anything. It's an interesting question.
no.
But tell us, Dorlin, we're gonna probably chat for another 10 minutes, but tell us how did you make this? Like what is it pulling from? I'm guessing it's some type of API or something.
Oh gosh, well, I mean, it is literally just something I coded in Notepad that it's pulling from. I this is just JavaScript I went through and uh gosh, it's been so long. I don't have the terminology to tell you anymore, but it was basically able to put those form fields in and have it listen for those things where it's like this form field's going up here, and I wrote the whole story out, and there's the spots where the
Oh, I
answers get
see.
populated. And so, like, when you put the green in, it populates twice because I
Mm-hmm.
put my green jacket on and I take the green jacket off. And then when we put the amount of or the amount of the bill in, which was one
Mm-hmm.
of the fields, then I have that set to multiply by zero point 0.2 and give us what the tip would be,
Right.
so it's
So you wrote
interacting
it
with
out
that.
already. It's not like being randomly generated into a new story each time.
No, you'll get the same story each time actually, but with
Oh,
just whatever you put in different. Although it'd be nice if I coded a couple, like three different stories, so you'd get three different ones or something, or maybe Chat GPT and this combined.
that's
But
why I was like, is this like what? But I'm like, you
no,
did this a while ago, so I don't think ChatGPT was really on people's radar when you made this.
no, this is just a good old Mad Lib like you would have found in a book and you'd write it in. It's
Yeah,
it's not smarter than us or anything.
right. All right,
Not
let's end with looking at another one of these websites we talked about. So, let's. Which one do you want to do? Do you want to do CodePen? I think it was CodePen, or do you want to do the one that was annoying you that we
um,
started with?
I haven't been on CodePen in a long time, so I wouldn't know how to go about. I think maybe either Imperfect Foods, or we also talked about doing Converse because I went to buy a new pair of Chucks last week and their site wasn't.
Oh, let's do
Um,
Converse.
and I love Chuck so much. If anyone from the Converse universe is listening, make your site better and make me one of your spokespeople. But Chucks are
Bye,
awesome for
Todd.
blind people.
Todd's
Bye.
leaving. He said,
Nice
"Thank you
meeting
for
you,
a great
Todd.
stream. I gotta run. Have a great day."
You too. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, as a blind person who is also a type 1 diabetic, and like I need to make sure that my feet are cool because, like, I've already lost my sight from the diabetes. I certainly don't want to lose any limbs from it. So, like, I want to make sure my feet are protected. And the rubber, I'm able to just like kick in and everything, bounce off. They're wonderful. But I get on their website and it was just a mess, and it was just pulling me around. So I think let's give that one a shot.
All right, time to roast Chuck Taylor's website.
All right. So are you still able to see even though I moved away from the website I was on, am I still sharing my
Um,
Google Chrome?
right now I'm still seeing your page.
All right, let's see.
Let me go into Video Ninja and see if there's something I need to do. You probably just need a. Yeah, nothing's happening on that screen for some
Let's
reason.
see. I think I need to share a different screen.
Maybe.
Enter. Choose what to share with Ninja dialog. The site will be able to see the tab. Chrome tab selected. Selected. The tab. Chrome tab list box. Inverse official site. Inverse.com. To move to an item, press the tab. Share tab audio checkbox checked. One of three. To clear checkmark, press spacebar. Cancel button to activate. Share tab audio checkbox checked. One of three. To clear checkmark, press spacebar. Shift tab. Chrome tab list box. Inverse official site. Enter.
Okay, I think now I'm sharing.
Hmm.
Inverse official site. Inverse.com. Enter.
No. Well, yes. Yes, you did it.
Inverse official site. Inverse.
Yay!
Okay, so.
Share dash Google Chrome dash left parent person one tag right parent menu navigation region level 3.
Okay, come on, man.
Ninja colon fun and games fun. Inverse official site.
Okay, so.
List of 7 items testing left shop sale button list of 1 item sale button menu.
Oh, but you can't hear my jaws, can you?
We can hear it faintly, but you can explain to us what's going on and why it's an issue.
What's interesting is starting me partway through the page, maybe because I've already been here before. So I'll start at the top, and there is a same page, the skip to main contact link. I honestly don't ever use those because sometimes they don't work well, and like clicking a link doesn't always take your screen reader where you want it to go. So if someone has coded a main region on their page, I'll use Q. That's our keyboard shortcut to get to a main region. So like those main regions with HTML are really key, because a lot of us use Q to skip navigation links instead of an actual skip navigation link. So let's see. So I was able to skip down. There's a play video button. So I'm just going down because I think that's how I did it originally, because I just wanted to yeah, there are headings. There's just a delay on my screen reader. So the first heading I come to is fast free shipping, a heading level 3. Worry-free returns, gift cards. But like,
And there's also
certainly.
no focus indicator, so I don't even know where you are.
Oh, really?
Are you tabbing?
I'm arrowing down right now.
Oh,
If I
okay.
tab through, which
Maybe that's
I
why.
honestly, as a screen reader user, I only start tabbing through something if I think it's a form and I
Right.
actually need to tab through the elements. Otherwise, I don't want to miss something. So oftentimes I'll arrow down through things.
Right, right. That makes
Um,
sense. But I'm curious, just for me, if they have focus indication, which would be crazy if they don't.
so right now I am on the heading level 3 that says worry-free returns. Is there
Okay.
focus?
Hit the tab
And
button.
then
Hit it
learn more
again.
link. Gift card?
Hit it again. Yeah, they do have focus, but it requires a tab. All right, cool. I was just curious.
Yeah, interesting. So it's funny. All right, so here's one of those things. I was entering my email address here because I wanted their coupon, but then it took me to another form that was complicated. Although I think I was actually doing that on my phone, so maybe they're not as bad as I thought they were. But anyways, let's see. Oh, so the only edit box on here is to enter your email address. So there's not a search box, but there's probably some way to search this.
There is a search box in the navigation
Really?
area. It's after sale.
So, okay, well, let's see. So if I hit E, my quick key for an edit box, the only one it's finding is,
Well, it's not an edit box. It's a graphic, I think.
oh,
So you might have to go over to the graphic. Let's see if the graphic's labeled correctly so that it can actually tell you that it's up there. So go to the navigation area at the top.
Inverse official site. Inverse.com. Required feed field. Inverse official site. Inverse.com document.
Hmm.
Same page link. Skip the name. Content US. Vertical bar N. Go to previous
And I
button.
can't hear it, so I don't know where you are, and there's no visible indication of
Go to previous button.
Okay,
You
so I'm
might have
gonna
to
go
like
to previous button,
For members.
which you would hope would actually have focus indication, but free shipping for members, link see details,
Go to next button.
which is not
Go to
descriptive.
more button. Go to next button.
free
Go to
shipping.
next
Link button
button,
collapsed.
help button,
Link sign in.
link
Where are
sign
you?
in.
Converse.
I'm up at the
Oh,
top.
okay. I see. I see. Keep going.
Menu navigation region. I just got to that.
New feature button.
Okay.
New and featured.
List of fields. Listing level 1. Button collapsed. List of
What's
items. List of
new?
link women's new arrivals. New
Women's.
arrivals. Link kids new arrivals. Link active school. Link style series. List and best in level 2. Link go to women's new arrival. Link go to men's new arrival. Link go to kids new arrivals. Link go to back to school. Link go to style series. First color button. List of 2 items best in level. Link get inspired. Link shop. List and best in level. Link go to get inspired. Link go to shop. Right button collapsed. List of 2 items best. Link explore. Link shop. List and best in level 2. Link go to explore. Link go to
Hmm.
shop. List and best in level. List of 1 items best. List of 1 items best in level 2. Link first day fifth check.
Yeah, I'm not finding that.
List and best in level 1.
You
I don't
said
think
there's
they're
an edit.
labeled correctly. They're probably just you skip over them. I actually built a page and the same thing happened. It was because I didn't label anything correctly. Yeah. So as you guys
Thing
can
is-
see, this is like one of the things that happens a lot. Oh, and Robo, you asked a question, so I'm gonna go back up to
Basketball button collapsed.
where you asked that question.
Trending button collapsed. Go to trending. Shoes button collapsed. Go to shoes. Loading button expanded. Go to accessories button collapsed. Menu collapsed. Go to trending button collapsed. Go shoes button collapsed. Loading button expanded. Accessories button collapsed. Kids button menu collapsed. Trending button collapsed. IH/gender button. Shoes button collapsed. Loading and accessory. Custom button menu. Trending button collapsed. Shop by gender button collapsed. Go to shop by gender. Custom by style button collapsed. Start with a collection button expanded. Go to start with a collection. List of 12 items missing. Link all custom. Link classic Chuck. Link Chuck 70.
There's so much going on that website.
There's so much. I just want to find a search
visually
box,
I
you
don't
know, and I
see.
can't.
Like it sounds like they nested a bunch of things together.
Oh, there's so much nested. I'm getting so much list nesting going on with the things, which I mean is properly nested, it sounds like, but it's so busy.
Yeah, it's just annoying to navigate. All right, so RoboDom asked earlier, question for both speakers. Have either of you found accessibility features helpful for all end users when certain HTML elements and CSS properties fail to load or fail to render? I know what you're asking, and I know the answer.
You mind reading the question one more time, Africa?
So it's have either of us found accessibility features helpful for all end users when certain HTML elements and CSS properties fail to load or fail to render? So the first thing I'll say is when it comes to HTML, the HTML is your last point to fall back on, as in HTML will usually not fail to render because it's so simple. It's like your skeleton. So like if your CSS fails to render for whichever reason, which could happen, or something weird and janky happens with JavaScript, the way to help everyone with that would be to like semantically structure your HTML so that even if the page breaks, the content on the page is still understandable. So for example, if like an image won't load, or if some interaction doesn't happen, or if some style doesn't show up, the content and the layout of the page still remains something you can navigate as a user of assistive technology and as a user who's not using assistive technology. So really it always comes down to HTML and how strong your HTML is and how semantic it is. So things like using native HTML, like button instead of using a div, things like that. So if you don't use semantic HTML and then your page breaks, everything else will probably kind of break and not make sense to a user. But if it's semantic, then there's no getting around it because those afford you it'll change the way that the page interacts, and that usually doesn't mess up. And if that messes up, then it's just going to be messed up for everyone. You know what I mean? What do you think? Do you know how to answer that question?
No, I mean, I think I agree with what you said there. I mean, I think it is cool, when you have, low bandwidth and photos won't load or something like that, that people, if you have alt text, that, a sighted user is going to be able to read that alt text and,
Right.
that kind of thing. But, and I also think the more accessible your website is for a user of assistive technology, just the more usable it is in general. Usually, like I'll have my mom who's sighted help me do things sometimes, and like a busy website is going to mess her up as much as me,
Right.
or
Right.
something that's not well. But if you've got a nice heading structure and you've got nice clean elements and you've got buttons that are labeled and easily to, it just makes a better experience for everyone.
Right. And one of the things we talk about a lot when you're learning about web accessibility, especially as an engineer, is that a huge swath of the population does not have high speed internet, a very, very large amount, or they're using like Windows with what's the one we don't use anymore? Explorer. Microsoft
Oh,
Explorer, whatever they call it. I don't even remember anymore because I was 12 the last time. But there's, they're using these older things. They have slow internet. So all that JavaScript and heavy, busy stuff that you have coded anyway is going to fail. And your last piece of what it catches is going to be the HTML and maybe a little bit of the CSS. So if those things aren't like written strongly, then no one benefits. So that's another reason why it would benefit everyone. Because even though these users in these areas are like cited and they're not using assistive technology, it can still mess up their page. So that is just about how much time we have today. We're at about an hour and a half. We'll definitely be doing a part 2 because this is super interesting, and I think people would love to hear more about it and see how you're navigating. By then we will have figured out how to do this correctly because we're going to do some test runs. But if you're still with us, there's only a few of you in here with us. So if you have any questions for us, please go ahead and put them in the chat. Even if it's just a comment to say thank you or to thank Dorlin for her time. But while you all are putting your questions, if you have any, Dorlin, what would you like everyone to walk away from this knowing? If there's one or two things you want people to walk away knowing, what would they be?
oh gosh. Oh, I wasn't prepared for that one.
It's
I
okay.
feel like everyone who's here, who's listening to these, they know so much.
Well, who's
Like,
here right now, but we're going to put this on YouTube, and people who are just curious about web accessibility may be watching. I don't know if they're going to watch all 1 hour and 30 minutes, but might be someone out there who's just curious, doesn't know
fair
about it.
enough. Stay to the end for this little bit of wisdom. Well, I think, as someone who was sighted for a good chunk of years, I never anticipated having to use the web as a blind user. I didn't, obviously know that, it could be used. But I think that, one big thing is that the web is accessible for people with all disabilities. We just have to make sure that it is, just doing our part to do that is, I don't know. I'm excited to be part of the next generation coming up. And so those people who are like fatigued, like help mentor us a little bit and we'll take this baton from you guys. I think I'm excited about web accessibility just because I think being able to include everyone in society and let everyone have a dignified, experience, be able to, I don't know, go and just use the web yourself, not have to ask for extra help for doing things. I don't
Right.
know. We're fighting a good fight here. And I don't know. I don't know what the the takeaway is. Sorry
No,
about
it
that.
sounds like the takeaway is please think about all the users
Yeah.
who are being impacted by websites that they can't use. And that, there are a lot of us out here, maybe not a lot of us, but there are some of us in the new class of web accessibility. We're all very excited. We have the energy, and we're ready to take that baton from the people who've been here for a lot longer. And one of the ways that we're trying to do that is through the Web Accessibility Study Group. So the web accessibility community is so awesome in that a lot of these mentors have a lot of knowledge to give, and they will be with us during this web accessibility study group. So hopefully, Dorlin, you will join us as well for some of the streams if you would like to co-stream and do some studying with us as we learn more about accessibility engineering and also some of the web accessibility fundamentals for some of those things like the DHS trusted tester and the CPAC that we talk about a lot. So
Oh, yeah.
now that I'm going to put you on the spot, I'm going to ask you like I asked everyone else, Dorlin, will you be a guest on one of our study session streams, please?
Yes, I would love to. I'm hoping to steady up and, take that CPAC with you too.
Yeah, so the first couple weeks of the web accessibility study group will be all about not web accessibility, but just straight accessibility standards, where we talk about the foundations of accessibility, disability, some of the personas for disability, including blind, deaf, blind, and then theories of disability, and then disability myths. I would love for you to come to one of those because you're going to speak the true and really let us know. So I feel like that would be a really cool one for you to come to. We're starting next September 19th, Tuesday, in between like 3 and 6, I think, is 3 and 5 is when we're going to try to do it once a week on stream.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it some more. Thank you, everyone. Robo Dom said, awesome stream. Appreciate both your time. Been learning a lot of new things. Great advice. Thank you so much, Robo, for hanging out with us for this long, and everyone else who's been here hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We hope that you leave here excited about web accessibility, excited to start making the web usable for all users, including my girl Dorlin, because we are sick, okay? We just want to use the web. But we'll see you all tomorrow. We'll be talking with Brandy, who also works with us. We're very excited. Alrighty, my friends, thank you for hanging out. We're out of here.
Bye.
Bye.